Welcome to Daryl's Beekeeping Videos. I'm a master beekeeper and today's project is a fun project and we are going to make sugar shake jars. This is a fun little project if you want to either one just make it for yourself, or what I use it for is I like to recycle. So my wife eats a lot of peanut butter, skinny girl, but she eats a lot of peanut butter. So years ago I decided to start using some of these Simply Jif jars and make my own sugar shake jars, and then whenever I teach bee schools I pass them out as handouts for free. So it's all I do is I take and I'll have the list when I'm totally done, as I always do. I'll put this list at the very end of my video so you'll know what I'm talking about and what I have. So I use Simply Jif brands 15.5 ounce, or it's 440 grams peanut butter jars, because it has a very nice lid to use for your sugar shake jars. A lot of videos you see on the internet on YouTube use use glass jars. I personally have issues with glass in an apiary because if you fall, you drop it, there's a chance you can have broken glass in your apiary. So I try to avoid it at all costs whenever possible. So years ago I started making these sugar shake jars, and again I use them in my apiary, and then I hand them out again as gifts for free. It cost me about 10 cents or less to make these. So what I'm going to use today, what I use for this, I have a drill press. When I first started out I didn't have a drill press, so I was simply using a cordless drill and holding the lid with a pair of gloves and then drilling it into that. It's kind of dangerous in a way that if you're not careful it can torque away from you. So I spent the extra, I don't know what it was, $300 or $400, whatever it was, for a drill press, because I make probably about 100 to 200, between 100 and 200 of these things a year, between the jars that I get from my wife, and then sometimes we'll get them from our friends as well, because I know that I make them out of them. Again, it's all scrap stuff anyway, stuff I'm using, with the exception of the glue sticks, and they're dirt cheap. So the things I use to make these is I use a couple of 8-inch C-clamps. That's for out here on the table. I'm going to show you how I can quickly mass produce the 1/8 inch mesh disc that I need for this. When I first started out, if you don't have the tools that I have, you can use a drill, cordless drill, with one of these hole saws, and then you can use a marker to trim out the pattern onto the spare 1/8 inch mesh wire mesh, and then from there you just simply cut it out with a pair of utility scissors of some sort. That's how I first started doing it. But again, now that I'm mass producing these things, again, for free handouts at bee schools, and also give them to my state apiary inspector to pass out on her visits. So what I use is I use the 8-inch C-clamps to hold my wooden plank down, so whenever I use my punch to punch out the metal, the discs. I also use like I said, the 1x12 board as a hammering platform to hammer the disc, or the discs out of the metal. I use a 2-pound brass hammer. The reason I like brass hammer, and this is just a cheap one from Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight sells really good tools for inexpensive. So this is a 2-pound brass hammer, simply to keep getting sparks. Brass won't spark, and I use it on this punch. And then I use a 2 3/4 inch arch punch. Again, I found this from a specialty store online. Again, it's a 2 3/4 inch arch punch. It's what it's called. It has hardened steel, so it makes easy to punch out these discs from the 1/8 inch mesh. And then if it doesn't completely punch through, it at least weakens the metal enough where I can see it indented, and then I can simply clean it up with a pair of scissors. The next thing you'll need is, again, a pair of utility scissors. My favorite scissors that I got off of Amazon are Wiss 10-inch general purpose scissors. That's spelled W-I-S-S, 10-inch. Some reason or somehow they've seemed to have grown legs. I had 2 pairs, but my wife also loves them, so somehow they've seemed to walk off for me. So today I ordered another couple pair, but for this demonstration these are just simply a pair of medical shears, that you can get in any fancy first aid kit. They work just as well cutting this 1/8 inch mesh. You will also need a Sharpie marker of some sort. I use black. Again, just to trace around any place you need to mark. You'd also need a miniature hot glue gun. What that does is inside this, I'm going to bring it a little closer where you can see it. Inside this Jif jar lid, you'll see that it's the Jif jar lid, and then I take this 1/8 inch mesh and I simply hot glue it inside just to keep it from punching out and coming out easily. I do know some people that make these things, again with canning jars, again glass, and they simply just cut out the outline with again mark it with a Sharpie and then cut it out with scissors, and then simply use the canning jars. Again, I like something that's not glass, and I like something that's a little bit more permanent, so I hot glue it in there. So again, these hot glue guns are about $5 or less. This one came from Walmart. This is a AdTech brand miniature hot temp gun. Again, just any of them will do these days. And then you're going to need a pack or two of these glue sticks. I use, again, the miniature glue sticks. This one's dual temp. I like the clear glue sticks, but it really doesn't matter. Again, today I'll end up showing you how I cut them out, and then later in the video I'll show you how I actually glue this into it once I get to the house portion of it. All right, then again, I have a WEN, W-E-N, 12-inch variable speed drill press, and it's model 4214 if you want to go extreme like I do. And again, in my final products, I have photos of this, and I also will include photos of the jig that I have that allows me to place, by trial and error I found, to keep from my hands sliding all over the place and becoming dangerous. I've created a little jig that I can slide these lids under and then pull the drill press down, and it goes right through the lid, and this lid doesn't pop up, and I don't have to worry about my hands being in the way and hurting anything. Then you will need a 2 3/8 inch hole saw. Again, I like the hole saws that have the little slots on the side, and the reason for that, the reason I like the hole slots on the side is simply every once in a while when I cut these plugs out of these lids, that plug will slide up on the drill bit. So I turn off my drill press, and then I simply use a screwdriver of some sort, and I like these wider and longer flat tip screwdrivers because it's dual purpose. I use it for other projects. When I build my own woodenware, these are good nail set. So again, I get these hole saws that have the hole on the side, and I just easily pop that disc right out whenever it pops in. And then, like I said, you also need a the brand of peanut butter jars is again Simply Jif 15.5 ounce peanut butter jars to make the actual jar. And then again, you will need the 1/8 inch mesh wire mesh that you're going to use for the shake jar itself. So you're going to take this jar and then make it into something like this. And then whenever I make them as handouts, I just simply went onto the Honeybee Health Coalition's guide and downloaded it. It's a free download, and it talks about how to do a sugar shake count, and I simply printed that out onto a sheet, and I fold it up and I put it inside the jar as a handout so that they get the jar and they get instructions. So the only thing the people need to do to make the rest of the kit is simply get some powdered sugar and a half cup measuring device and some kind of container to when they dump the mites into, and then they have a fully functional sugar shake kit. But again, I give them the hardest part to get, which is the sugar shake jar. So with that being said, I'm going to stop the video. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is I like to have a magnet around so that whenever I get done punching these discs out, occasionally I'll have to do some trim up work with the scissors, and you get these little slivers of this metal coming off this mesh. So I like to have a magnet of some sort just to simply clean up those scraps so I don't have to worry about walking around and stepping on them. So now I'm going to pause the video, and then I'm going to go set up my drill press, and then we'll go inside and do that. And then we'll go from there. Okay, now I'm inside my workshop. Just an old converted stallion collection barn. So again, I'll have close-up pictures of this, but what I have is I have my drill press, and then I have my jig that's permanently set up this, because it's basically all I build on this now. So what it is it's a bolted down piece of 1x12, and then I have a rubber piece of stall mat that's down, so that way whenever I run the drill press down, that it goes into it, and if the drill bit goes into the rubber mat, it's not a big deal. And then I have this set so that the drill press is on its slowest setting possible, so it is a controlled cut. And then I have this V-shaped guide that, again, is drilled into the wood, so I can slide the lids in underneath the drill bit, and it just barely clears it. There's maybe, 1/8 of an inch above the drill bit, above the peanut butter jar. And then what I found through trial and error is I created this little backstop piece of the wedge goes in there, and it holds I push the peanut butter lid into the press, and it kind of funnels it and wedges it in there. And then what I found was when I would first join it, I would drill press down, and the peanut butter jar lid would try to raise up. So I basically put this little block on the top back here, and I had to take and notch out a little bit of an arc on it, so basically it just barely clears the lip of this peanut butter jar lid. And again, it slides right on top of it sits on top of this little wedge, sits on top of the other 1x material, which is another reason I like this Simply Jif lid, because it is roughly it's actually the same height as a 3/4 inch piece of wood, so it makes it the perfect size, so that whenever I put this little block at 3/4 inch by roughly a little bit more than 3/4 of an inch in the back, again, just so that it rests right on top of those other pieces of 3/4 inch wedges there, and it makes the perfect block to keep that peanut butter lid from raising, and it keeps my hands out of harm's way. So it's all I do is I push the lid in, and I'm pushing it in with my thumb, and then I basically just keep my fingers out of the way, and I'm basically using my index finger against this back block, just again, one, to help apply pressure, because the lid's still going to try to torque a little bit whenever I slowly pull this down. So I squeeze it, and it helps apply a little bit more pressure, and then I'm just going to slowly go through until I see it punch through, and I'm going to raise it up, and I'm going to kill my power. That's the other thing I like about this wind. The power cutoff is right up front, so I can just bump that and cut off. So now I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm going to turn it on, and with this thing, there's no flying debris, so I don't need safety goggles. You can. I also don't need earplugs because it's not that noisy. When I'm working my other power tools, I do always wear safety goggles, and I wear earplugs. In this case, you're going to see that it doesn't do a lot. So I flip it up, turn the power on, and then I'm going to slowly, I'll try to keep my arm out of the way here so you can kind of see what's going on. So again, I'm pushing in with my thumb and pinching with my index finger, and I'm just slowly pulling it down. The drill bit just punched through, and now the hole saw is about to engage, and now it's engaging. Again, just slowly working its way down so it doesn't try to torque on me, and then it just punched through. I'll release it, I turn it off, and then I pull it through. As I was telling you about earlier, it's nice to have this screwdriver, because occasionally, like right now, the plug just rode up. So again, I just simply take my screwdriver, any size will do, till it pops out a little bit, and then I just pop it out, and there's my little plug. And I just simply throw it in the trash can that's sitting right next to it. Periodically, you'll get these little red shavings from the red lid. You simply clear them out of the way. It's not a big deal. So I have 42 of these. I'll do a couple more just on the video, just show you how quickly they can go. And I'll make 42 of these things today. So here we go. So again, I just pop it in, slide it underneath the back wall, hold it in, keep my fingers perfectly out of the way, so I'm watching at all times where that blade is. Slowly go down. It's trying to torque on me. It goes through, turn it off, pull it out. Again, and then a lot of times I can just reach up underneath there and grab it with my fingernails, pull it out. Again, run the next one. You'll see how quickly this goes. Turn it on, watch my fingers at all times. Pop through. And then when it happens, you'll get these little strings. So occasionally, if it doesn't do a clean cut, you simply take your fingers and then pull these little strings off. And that's all there is to it. I'm going to cut the video all off until I get through the rest of these, and then I will show you the next step in the process. Thank you for watching this piece of it. All right, I turned the video back on to show you something. Every once in a while, this thing will occasionally try to have too much torque and spin on you. So if you have that, I forgot to mention, you can put a tight-fitting glove on. Again, trial and error. Most of the time I don't wear a glove, but occasionally this thing will grab. So in this case, it slipped enough where it it didn't cut my hand, but it spun it and kind of gave a little bit of a burn on my hand. So I just switched to a pair of gloves, just one glove to help hold that. And again, when I'm holding that lid, I'm holding it in and down with my thumb. And again, I'm always watching where my fingers are in relation to that spinning hole saw. Again, so nothing gets caught. So just turn on the video just to quickly show you that. Again, I'll show you what this looks like again with the glove on. Again, my eyes are always on where that blade is. Again, so you see I turn it off. I simply pull it off, put it out of the way, put the next one in, slide it in under. Again, put my hands down, watching exactly where that blade is. Punches through, again down, and you see it spun. So when that happens, release it, just let it go. Let it stop, and then simply reset it. So I wanted to show you what that looked like. Again, because that has, I don't know, a couple hundred teeth or 100 teeth or so on this hole saw, so it can happen. So and when that happens, just release your hands, get your hands out of the way, let it spin, shut it off, and go back at it again. So now I'm holding it down, again, watching where my fingers are at all times, letting it punch through again, slowly down, turn it off, and go back at it. Again, so you don't hurt yourself. Again, with power tools, there's always a risk of damage, of hurting yourself, so make sure that you know what's going on at all times. And again, I was telling you about before, with occasionally you'll get that debris, so you get this little red shavings, you just simply reach up in there and pull it off. Again, turn power, make sure the power's off. So again, I flip it up, down, watching where my hands are at all times. And it's just that quick. All right, so I showed you what to watch out for if it spins and how to react to it. If that happens, I'll go ahead and shut it off, and then we'll go to the next one. Okay, so now I'm on to the next stage, which is to cut out the discs in the 1/8 inch mesh wire. One point of emphasis, I still want to go back to when I was on the drill press. Again, use a glove to help keep your fingers from becoming burned if it's friction burn. But my point is, if you're at the point where the lid is spinning, you've come down too fast. The ideal speed is very, very slow, and what you should see when you come down on that drill press is little red strings coming off, kind of like when they make cotton candy, you have that really small bits of string. That's what you're doing. So if you come down too fast, I came down a couple times too fast, and that's why it spun on me and gave me a little bit of a friction burn on my thumb. So come down very, very slow, and all those teeth, again, I don't know how many teeth are on one of those bits, probably 100 bits or 100 teeth or so. Anyway, it'll slowly cut its way through this plastic. All right, so the next thing I do is I make these little discs. Again, I use the 2 3/4 inch arch punch. This is the easiest way I found. I'm still in trial and error on this after doing this for probably 4 years now. At some point I may try to contact a tool and die company and see if there's a simple press to be able to punch it out. But again, I'm not willing to spend more than maybe $1,000 for something like that, for something I'm just going to give away stuff. So in the meantime, this is the least expensive way I found it. I think this is less than $50. This hammer's, you know, $5 or $6 at Harbor Freight. So it's all I've done is I've taken my 1-inch board put it on my homemade bench, and then I've taken my 2 8-inch clamps and I've clamped the wire, 1/8 inch mesh wire down to it. Again, I simply take this arch punch, you can see the holes, and then I simply put it as close to the edge of the wire as I can, so that I basically don't have to cut that piece of it. And then I take it over to the next hole. I've already punched one out just as a quick test shot. Again, it doesn't always cut all the way through it, but if it doesn't, when you get ready to take it out, you can simply bend the wire back and forth. If not, that's what you've got the scissors for, to finish the cut. And I usually have a piece of a trash bag out here to throw the scraps in. So again, if you want to have earplugs, you can. Again, you're gonna, when you hammer, hold your hammer firmly, and then I keep my fingers down below so that I don't smash and I don't hit the wrong part, hit my fingers instead of this head. So I'm gonna make probably about 10 whacks at it. And when I lift it up, you'll see that it's actually released and cut all the way through in some sections, most of the way. Again, so I just go on to the next one. Again, trying to line up on the previously cut holes as best I can. So again, it's one less hole, and go to the next one. Go on to the next one. Again, this goes fairly quickly, but this is kind of the labor-intense portion of this. This is my least favorite part because it is a lot of work, and if you hit you can easily hit your finger if you're not careful. All right, so just that quick, you see the disc is coming out pretty easy. That's quick 4. I'll do a couple more of these and then I'll shut the video off so you get the idea. It's loud enough that I probably should be wearing earplugs because it's pretty loud right now. Again, I use little foam earplugs. All right, just that quick. I'll just pop one of these out. So again, you can see that so all I gotta do is bend it back and forth. And this is the other reason I like gloves in this phase, so that I don't get cut. So all I'm doing is I'm bending the wire back and forth. And most of the time I don't even need to use the scissors. So you see I'm just wiggling it back and forth and it pops out that easy. So you see I've got a nice disc. I know it's kind of hard to see in the video, but what it will do is I can take this lid that I've made, and it's the perfect size to fit inside. That's why I sized it this way. And then I can simply push this in, and then you'll see it when I get into the house and do the other piece of it. It just pops right in, snaps right in, and then what I do is I push on it and it kind of gives it a small bow out a little bit, which is perfect. And then I can just simply take my fingers, and it's a nice friction fit. I could actually just leave this as is, but when I get to the house, I'll take it to the next level and I'll hot glue this in, and then I'll have a complete piece, and it's not going to go anywhere. So I'll finish punching these out. Again, I need about 42. That's how many lids I've cut holes on, and we'll see you on the other end on the next one. Okay, now I'm in the house and I'm on to the final portion of assembling and making the sugar shake jars. So in the first section you saw me drilling out the peanut butter jar lids. In the next segment you saw me punching out the 1/8 inch mesh discs that go in it. And when I struck the hammer, I ended up using my earplugs after all because it was pretty loud, and I struck the hammer about 12 times in each one of these, and it makes it really easy. And like I said, I just went back and forth, bent the metal back and forth whenever it got ready to pop it off, and then I would take the scissors and just do any final trim up work. So now I'm in the final stage of assembly. So I like to set everything out on a table. Just off to my right, your left over there, you can see I've laid out all my lids. I've got my miniature hot gun warming up. I've got my disc, and I have several of these miniature glue sticks on standby. If I remember right, you can do about 3 of these with 1 stick. I can't remember. We'll find out here shortly. And then I've got my scissors handy, and then I've got a small little grocery shopping bag for a trash bag, because you might have to do a little bit of trimming on these discs. But if you punch them out right, you don't have to do any trimming at all. So again, the process is really simple. I take my lid, I take my metal disc, and I simply push it in. You'll hear it clip in. The beauty of the sizes that I chose, and you can see it's actually a pretty good friction hold now. So it's all I'm going to do now that that's in there. And if I see any stray wires sticking up, I can take a knife or anything and just kind of push them down a little bit underneath that bottom lip if I wanted to. I could also use a screwdriver if I wanted to. And then it's all I'm going to do is I'm going to take and squeeze the trigger on the glue gun, and I'm going to push it so that the glue is coming out and the tip of the glue gun is kind of acting as a leveler. So I'm just going to push it and twist the cap as I go. So we'll see how it goes. And it's probably not going to show well on this. And there it goes. So I got a nice little bead going. Again, I'm just pushing it, and as I'm rolling it forward, the tip actually smooths it out. And then as you need another glue stick, you stick it in and keep loading and keep on going. So again, you just go all the way around. It goes quickly. And it's all the way around. And that's all there is to it. I set it off to the side. I'll pull one up a little closer, see if I can get it to where you can see it a little closer. Here's one that needs to be trimmed. I can see that, so I just trim it off. Again, trim it into the bag if I can. So again, I'm just going to come up close, and you're going to see I'm going to take the disc, and I'm going to simply push it in. And now it's seated in there nicely. And then I'm going to hopefully capture it on the video. So again, I just simply take and go in the corner, and I roll it, and I just twist the peanut butter jar lid as I'm squeezing the trigger, and it just goes all the way around. And if it bubbles up, it's not a big deal. You can always smooth it out with the tip, because tip is hot, until it goes all the way around. And just that quick, I've made another sugar shake jar lid. And then the final step would be to print out the instructions and fold the instructions and put them inside like I have here. And it's a complete kit. So again, I'll do one more just to show you how quickly it is. Again, just put it in, pop it in. Again, if you get a little bit off, you just need to trim it a little bit. Again, have your scissors handy. Trim it, and then push it in. Again, if it's a little bit long, that's okay, because remember, you can bow it out, so where it bows up, that's okay. And if you get a little bit of these red strings, you can't see it on camera, I know. Remember I was telling you about when you come down with the drill press, come down very, very slowly, and you should get a bunch of strings, kind of like cotton candy. If that happens, you have some of that left on the lid, you just pull it off, not a big deal. Again, so it's now pushed in there pretty well. So again, I just simply squeeze, and turn. And it's just this easy, this quick to go through this. I ended up making 52 of the metal discs, and I had 42 or 43, I think, of the lids. So I'll just save the excess discs, that way whenever I get ready to do the next one. And then I like to have my bag handy so that whenever I get my jars handy. Now if this one's dried, it doesn't take very long to dry. I just simply put the lid on the jar, and now you have a nice sugar shake jar. And that is just how easy it is to make a sugar shake jar to hand out at your bee club meetings or to use yourself. But again, I use them just as a giveaway gifts. It's my way of recycling something we're using anyway. Again, we eat a lot of Skippy peanut butter jar, I think it is, whatever I told you it was, Jif, simply Jif peanut butter throughout the year. Again, I make about anywhere between a year. I make anywhere between 100 and 200 of these a year. Again, it's just a little fun project, and it's my way of giving back to the beekeeping community. So I hope you learned something and enjoyed this video. So thank you very much.